Hello, this is Heavenly Postbox, the channel that delivers God's unconditional agape love found in the 66 books of the Bible. Agape Archive opens its doors energetically again today.
Yes, hello everyone. Over the past 2 weeks, we've crossed two of the heaviest and most challenging mountains in Christian apologetics, haven't we?
That's right. We faced the dark and fierce reality of spiritual warfare head-on. Hell and the devil. Actually, there was a clear reason why we brought up those heavy topics first.
Yes, it was a build-up to show you the truly overwhelming light. Finally today, we are heading straight into our channel's specialty, the heart of God's love, which completely shatters that logic of darkness.
The core truth we will dig into today is the short declaration in 1 John 4.8, God is love. But everyone, did you perhaps think of God as simply someone with a lot of love? Or do you think of him as love itself?
Today, we will properly uncover how this small difference in nuance can completely turn our faith and daily lives upside down. You can look forward to it. We're starting right now.
Okay, so diving right into our source material today. It's titled God is Love, and I just have to be completely honest with you right off the bat.
Oh boy.
When I first saw the topic was 1 John 4:8, God is love, I kind of almost rolled my eyes.
You rolled your eyes at the Bible. That's a bold start for a deep dive.
No, not at the Bible itself. Just that, the familiarity of it, like it's the ultimate bumper sticker verse.
Right.
It's on coffee mugs. It's probably cross-stitched on a pillow in your grandma's living room right now.
Yeah, it really is.
It feels like the hello world of Christianity. I just thought, I know this. God is nice. God is affectionate. Move on. But looking at the sources today, wow.
It's completely different.
Yeah, it seems like I, and probably a lot of you listening right now, have been totally missing the actual depth of this statement.
It's the danger of familiarity, isn't it?
Yeah.
We hear the words so often that they just lose all their texture. But what the source material is arguing here is that this isn't just some warm, fuzzy sentiment.
Right.
It is a rigorous, logical definition of reality. It actually distinguishes the Christian view of God from almost every other worldview in history.
And the big distinction the author makes, and I think this is where we really need to start, is the difference between an attribute and an essence.
Yes, massive difference.
I want to drill down on this because I think most people, definitely myself included, usually treat love as an attribute. Like God is all-powerful, he's all-knowing, and hey, as a nice bonus feature, he is also loving.
Exactly. We treat it like a personality trait. Or even a mood.
Right.
Think about human relationships. If I say my friend Sarah is a loving person, I just mean that right now, generally, Sarah acts in a loving way.
Sure.
But if Sarah gets cut off in traffic, or she hasn't had her morning coffee, or she's just had a brutal day at the office.
Then Sarah might not be so loving in that moment.
Exactly. Attributes fluctuate. They go up and down. They are totally subject to change based on conditions.
Which is actually terrifying if you apply that logic to God.
How so?
Well, because if loving is just God's mood, then I'm constantly worried about, catching him on a bad day.
Right.
I start thinking, did I annoy God today? Is he in a bad mood because I messed up? Did his love cool down?
Precisely. If love is just an attribute, it implies it can increase or decrease based on your behavior.
Yeah.
But the text in 1 John 4:8, it draws a hard line in the sand. It doesn't say God has love.
It says God is love.
Right, and the analogy the source uses here to explain this difference, which I think is just brilliant, is water.
Yes, I marked that exact section in my notes. I'm a very visual learner, so this helped me so much. Walk us through that water analogy.
Okay, so think about H2O. Water can be in different states, or it can have different attributes. It can be hot, or it can be cold.
Right, if I boil it for pee, it's hot. If I put it in the freezer, it's ice.
Exactly, those are attributes. Heat and cold, they change. But whether it's scalding hot steam whistling out of a kettle or a solid freezing block of ice, the essence, the chemical makeup, is always H2O.
It never stops being H2O.
Right. The H2O-ness isn't a mood. It's what the thing actually is.
Okay, so applying that to God, you're saying love isn't the temperature, love is the wetness, like it's the H2O itself.
Correct. Love is the very material of his existence. It is his substance. If love were just a mood, God could theoretically decide to stop loving and still be God.
Wow.
He could just wake up one day and decide to be hate. But if love is his essence, he literally cannot exist in any other way than loving.
So asking God to stop loving you would be like asking water to stop being H2O.
It would require him to cease to exist.
That's a massive shift in perspective. But let me play devil's advocate here for a second, because I know there's someone listening right now thinking this exact thing.
Go for it.
The Bible also talks about God's wrath, right? It talks about judgment. If he is essence love, how does that fit? Does he stop being love when he's judging sin? Does the H2O turn into something else?
That's the beauty of the essence argument. If love is the H2O, then even his wrath is an expression of that love. Think about a mother bear.
Okay, a mother bear.
If a predator comes after her cub and she fiercely attacks that predator, is she acting out of hate?
Well, no, she's acting out of protection. She's acting out of a fierce love for her cub.
Exactly. The temperature might be hot, that's the wrath,
Yeah.
but the substance driving it is still love. He judges because he loves. He destroys what hurts his beloved. His nature never changes, even when his expression of it does.
So he never morphs into a god of hate. He is always agape, whether he's comforting us or disciplining us.
Precisely. And this leads us directly into what the source material calls the sharp question.
Oh, this part?
Yeah, it's a logical puzzle that really exposes why this essence definition is so entirely unique to the Christian faith.
Yeah, I have to say, this section actually made my brain hurt a little bit, but in a good way. It's all about the logic of pre-creation, right?
All right, let's do a little thought experiment. Rewind the tape. Go all the way back before Genesis 1, before the earth, before the stars, before angels, before humanity, when there was absolutely nothing but God.
Just God alone in the dark.
Here's the sharp question. If God was all alone, who did he love?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yep.
Because love is a verb, or at least it requires a relationship. You need a subject and an object. You need a lover and a beloved.
Exactly. You cannot love in a vacuum. You can possess the potential to love or the ability to love, but you cannot be actively loving if there is no one else there.
Right.
And this is the massive philosophical problem with strictly Unitarian views of God, like a single-person deity. If God is just one solitary unit, then for billions of years of eternity past, he wasn't loving, he was just existing.
So in that scenario, God would have to create the universe in order to start loving, which would mean love isn't his essence. It's just something he picked up later as a hobby once he finally had an audience.
Spot on. And if he needed to create us to experience love, then he's dependent on us. A God who needs creation to be fully himself is not a sovereign God. He's a needy God.
That makes total sense.
But the Christian claim is God is love eternally, by nature, before creation ever existed. So how is that logically possible?
And this is where the source brings in St. Augustine and the Trinity. I think a lot of people see the Trinity as this sort of confusing math problem like 1 + 1 + 1 = 1, or just the theological headache they have to accept.
Yeah, usually.
But here, the source is saying the Trinity is actually the solution to the puzzle.
It is the only solution. Augustine argued that within the one God, there has always been a relationship. You have the Father, who is the lover. You have the Son, who is the beloved. And the Spirit is the bond of love itself.
Oh.
God was never a lonely guy sitting in the dark. God has always been a community.
A community. That's beautiful. And the notes use this Greek term here, perichoresis. It sounds a bit technical, maybe like a medical condition.
It does sound like that.
But the definition described in the source is actually incredibly poetic.
It really is profound. Perichoresis comes from the root words for around and to make room or to dance. It describes the mutual indwelling of the Father, Son, and Spirit. It's this idea of a divine, eternal dance. Imagine a dance so perfect, so synchronized, where the partners are just pouring themselves out for each other, revolving around one another in perfect joy. They are distinct, yet they are one. That is what was happening before the Big Bang. The Father delighting in the Son adoring the Father, all in the joy of the Spirit.
So God as love logically works because he always had someone to love within himself. He was a party of three. He was totally self-sufficient.
Precisely. He was strictly self-sufficient in his love. He didn't need anything outside of himself to be perfectly happy. The love was circulating flawlessly.
Okay, but that leads to a really cynical question, or maybe just a highly logical one. If God was having this perfect, ecstatic party within the Trinity, why are we here?
That's the million-dollar question.
No, really think about it. If I'm at a party with my best friends and we're having the absolute time of our lives, we don't usually stop and say, hey, let's go build some fragile robots that will malfunction, insult us, and break our furniture.
Right.
Why mess up the perfect vibe by creating humans who would inevitably sin and cause pain?
And this brings us to the concept of the overflow. It's absolutely crucial for understanding your own value as a listener. A lot of ancient religions, and frankly, a lot of modern people today, assume God made us because he was lonely, or worse, because he needed servants.
Right. The God needs a workforce theory, like he needed someone to stroke his ego or do his chores or fight his battles.
Exactly. But if the doctrine of the Trinity is true, right, God has zero lack. He wasn't lonely. He wasn't bored. So the creation of the universe wasn't an act of necessity. It was an act of overflow.
Like a fountain.
Exactly like a fountain. Think of a fountain fed by an infinite rushing underground spring. Eventually, the basin gets so incredibly full of water that it simply cannot contain it anymore as to spill over the edge.
It just naturally pours out.
Yes. The love between the Father and the Son was so dynamic, so raucous, so overwhelmingly full that it naturally wanted to spread. He created us not to get love from us, but to share his love with us.
That actually completely flips the script on how I view myself. I mean, I'm not an employee hired to fix a problem. I'm a guest.
You were an invited guest. You were created specifically to be invited into the dance that was already happening. Think about the difference in dignity there.
Huge difference.
If I have a child because I need someone to take care of me when I'm old or work on my farm, that child is a tool, a utility. But if I have a child because my marriage is so full of love that I just want to bring another life into that warmth, that child is a gift.
Wanted, not needed. That's such a huge distinction. God doesn't need me, but he desperately wants me.
And that is the true foundation of spiritual security. If you are needed, you can be fired the moment you stop being useful. But if you are wanted simply for the sake of relationship, you are secure.
I love that. I really do. But I'm going to push back again because even if I accept this intellectually, that God is this overflowing source of love, I look at my own life and I look at how the real world works and I struggle to actually feel it.
Yes.
And the source notes call this Satan's calculator.
The calculator. This is the default operating system of the human heart. And it connects directly back to what we discussed in previous weeks about the logic of darkness. It's the logic of karma, of the marketplace, of our jobs.
It's basically if-then. If I do a good job, then I get a reward. If I mess up, then I get punished.
Exactly.
If I'm productive, I'm valuable. If I'm lazy, I'm worthless. I mean, that's how we pay our mortgages. That's how we get grades in school.
Right. It's entirely transactional. We are heavily conditioned to believe that love is something you purchase with performance.
Yeah.
So naturally, we take this worldly calculator and we project it onto God.
We totally do.
We think, oh, I skipped my prayers this morning, so the calculation is negative. God is probably cold toward me right now. Or I volunteer at the homeless shelter, so God definitely owes me a blessing.
And honestly, living like that is exhausting. It turns faith into this constant high-stress anxiety of checking the stock market of God's mood. Am I up today? Am I down?
It is exhausting. And the source material argues that God's entire mission was to absolutely smash that calculator, to destroy the logic of retribution entirely. And the way he did it was through something called kenosis.
Kenosis, that's another Greek word. It means self-emptying, right?
Yes, self-emptying. And this is the great paradox of the gospel. Think about it. If God just wanted to force us to obey him, he could have simply used power. He could have come down as a cosmic dictator, lightning bolts in hand, and said, obey me or I'll zap you.
And that would trigger the calculator immediately. We'd go, okay, you are strong, I am weak, I will submit so I don't get hurt.
Right. You could win submission with power. But, and this is the absolute key, you cannot win love with power. You can only win true love through vulnerability, through self-emptying.
So the cross, that wasn't just a legal transaction to pay for sin. It was a real-time demonstration of this essence we've been talking about.
It was the ultimate irrefutable proof that God is love. He emptied himself of his glory. He became a fragile human. He allowed his creations, the very beings he invited to the dance, to spit on him, to beat him, to kill him.
Yeah.
Why? Because he was showing us, this is who I truly am. I am the God who bleeds for you even when you hate me.
That completely breaks the calculator because it doesn't make any mathematical sense. We gave him hate and he gave us sacrifice. That's a terrible deal for him.
According to the calculator, it's the worst deal in history. It triggers a massive error message in our brains. Does not compute. But according to the logic of the overflow, it makes perfect sense.
How?
He wasn't reacting to our merit. He was acting from his own nature. He loved us at our absolute worst to prove once and for all that his love isn't based on our best.
It just destroys the whole idea that I have to qualify for his love. You can't earn something that is being freely given to you while you are actively rejecting it.
Exactly. The cross permanently replaces the logic of karma with the logic of grace.
There's one final image in the notes that I think lands this plane perfectly today. We started with water, but let's end with the sun. It's the analogy of the sun and the muddy puddle. I think this is something every listener can really visualize.
It's a classic, beautiful illustration. Picture a dirty, stagnant puddle of muddy water on the sidewalk. Maybe it's in a dark back alley. It's gross. It's totally unappealing.
Right.
Now look up. There is the sun, blazing in the sky.
Does the sun look down and say, ew, that water's way too dirty. I'm going to withhold my light until it cleans itself up?
No, of course not. The sun shines on the pristine, crystal-clear mountain lake and the filthy gutter in the exact same way. Why? Is it because the gutter suddenly deserves it? No.
It's because the sun is the sun.
Exactly. It is the very nature of the sun to shine. It cannot help but radiate light and heat. It shines because of what it is, not because of what the puddle is.
That is actually a massive relief. Because I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I feel like that muddy puddle a lot of the time. I have shame, I have daily failures, I have days where I'm just definitely not clean.
We all do. And the message of 1 John 4:8 is that God shines his agape love on you, not because you successfully filtered out your mud, but because he is the sun.
Yeah.
If the sunshine depended on the cleanliness of the water, we'd all be in the dark forever. But because it depends entirely on the unchanging essence of the sun, we have hope. We are bathed in agape love simply because of who he is.
So for the listener tuning in right now, maybe you're driving, maybe you're working out, or just doing dishes, this means you can literally stop checking the spiritual weather forecast every 5 minutes. The sun is shining, the H2O is still water, the Trinity is still dancing.
It's an open invitation to finally put down the calculator. Stop trying to negotiate your worth with God. Just jump into the ocean of his nature. Accept that you are wanted, you are invited, and you are loved simply because he is who he is.
Yes, today was a truly overwhelming and wondrous time. The comfort that comes from the fact that love is not God's mood, but his unchanging essence, is truly immense.
That's right. What I clearly realized today is that we are not slaves meant to appease a lonely God, but incredibly precious beings invited into the overflowing dance of love of the triune God.
So today I want to throw out a specific question that you can apply right away to your lives.
Today, when you were disappointed in yourself and hit rock bottom because of your weaknesses and mistakes, will you hide while imagining a God of moods who changes based on your actions? Or will you boldly run to God who is love itself, regardless of how you are?
If you have an honest resolution to this question, or if you've experienced newly found grace today, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comments below. We will read every single one and communicate with you.
If today's video was a warm rest for your weary daily life, please give a big boost to our Heavenly Postbox ministry by subscribing, liking, and turning on notifications.
We will be back next time with even deeper grace of Agape. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.